Good evening, ladies. Good evening, and welcome to Women's Bible Study for Women United Ministry. This is Pastor Johnson, live on IG, YouTube, as well as Facebook this evening. So tonight we're continuing the topic in the books of Esther. On last week, we spoke about chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. Tonight we're going to be speaking on chapter 4, chapter 5, and chapter 6 of this content, everybody. So before we get started, we're going to go ahead and get in prayer. Lord, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for this time, this moment, and this gathering. I pray that every woman on this live names up for every woman that has will give understanding of what they should do and go forth in you, Father God. As we move forth in this season of our lives, we have to continue to trust you. We have to believe and seek you daily, Father. Lord, I just thank you and honor you. To you all. But I'm going to go ahead and read these chapters. Particular chapter that I'm reading to you all today. So we are in Esther chapter 4. Malachi requests Esther's help. They came and told her about Malachi. She was deeply distressed. She sent clothing to him to replace the burden, but he refused it. And Esther sent for Heshman, one of the king's urged, who had been appointed as her attendant. She ordered him to go to Malachi and find out what was troubling him and why he came in just like a thief. I didn't even know my camera came off. It reminds me. Heshman All right, we're going to pull it up in the NLT version, everyone. 2 and chapter 3. All right, to kind of give you give me a second to pull this up. King Urshan having a brother was called to go see the king, but she refused. And they felt very beside themselves because she refused to go to the king when they asked her to come. Not only did that cause great trauma, how the things were being presented in that kingdom. Basically, this disregard what orders were demonstrated, saying that, and I'm going to go to 21. It says, the king and his nobles thought this would make good sense, so he followed prophecy in his own scripture and languages, proclaiming that every man shall be the ruler of his own home and should say whatever he please. Just because the fact of the matter is, Queen Vesta was Jewish men in the fortune in the his had been exiled from Jerusalem to Babylon to by King Nebuchadnezzar. This man had been where she get to know and get from. Okay, she ended up being more, how would I say it, more willing and more capable for her to be queen king. So this is where we go back to verse 16. Esther was taken into King Esther at the royal place in the early winter of the 17th year of the reign. And the king loved Esther more than any of the other young women. He was so delighted with her that he set the royal crown on her head and declared her queen instead of Esther. So Queen Esther took over Esther's position because of her disobedience and dishonoring the king when she was asked to go and seek him. So that's how Queen Esther took the place of Esther. Two of the king's Urson, Benjamin and Turner, who were guards at the door of the king private quarters, became angry. King. There are laws that are different for those of any people, and they refuse to lie. We're gonna start it again. IG went off, everybody, but it's okay. We're gonna keep the party moving because I have so much problems with IG. I really do. When I do these lives, I really do. All right, here we go. Let's keep it moving. Sorry about that. Facebook and YouTube. All right. So basically, what's really going on in chapter 3, is the fact that Haman had pretty much talked to King Esther, and Esther basically told him this is he washed pretty much washed his hands at that point, and gave Haman the pretty much gave him that sign run to do whatever he pleased. So then he ended up sitting out an order or a summons to have pretty much the Jews, the children, all of the Jewish, basically annihilated, and that was like really very overwhelming and stressful and very overbearing for them, to the point where it ties into what we're talking about tonight in chapter 4, where Mordecai chapter 3. All right. So now this is how it ties into what we're talking about tonight. So I gave you the paraphrasing of this tonight and kind of went over it very briefly in a swiftly manner, so that way I don't bore you and get you running off the line. So that guy and find out what was troubling him. And Mordecai told him the whole story, including the exact amount of Haman had promised to pay into the royal treasure. So there was a ransom, a demand that was issued out at that particular time for that royal treasury for the destruction of the Jews. Mordecai gave Haman his message. And officials and even the people in the prophecy knew that anyone who appeared before the king in the inner courts without being invited is doomed to die unless the king holds out his golden scepter. And the king has not called for me to come to him for 30 days. So Heshman gave Esther a message to Mordecai. because you're in a palace, you will escape. When all other Jews were killed, if you keep quiet at a time like this, deliverance and relief from the Jews will arise from some other place, but you and your relatives will die as this. All right. And Esther days, nights, or day. My maids and I will do the same. And then, though it is against the law, I will go and to see the king. If I must die, I must die. So Mordecai went away and did everything as Esther had ordered. So Queen Esther basically ordered Mordecai to go back to basically fast for 3 days and nights and go back into all the Jews to do the same. She was doing the same thing. So now this ties in to chapter 5, where Esther requested the king. All right. On the third day of the fast, Esther put on her royal robe, and entered the inner court of the palace. Just across from the king's hall, the king was sitting on his royal throne, facing the entrance. When he saw Queen Esther, he held out the golden scepter to her. Esther approached and touched the end of the scepter. Then the king asked her, "What do you want, Queen Esther? What is your request? If it pleases the king, let the king of Haman come today to a banquet I have prepared to his attendant and said, Tell Haman to quickly come to the banquet as Esther has requested. the way to the end of July. So we'll be doing this every Saturday for the next 2 months, starting Saturday of June. So we'll be doing that approximately, and when we'll be doing that mini camp. So first and foremost, it'll be streaming stuff that you're seeing here. The mini camp will be streaming live on YouTube for Ladies with Voices, at the leader. And I'm telling you, ladies, with this confident mini camp that's getting ready to urge you to tell all the young ladies to share this live on Facebook to say Pastor Johnson is doing a mini camp on Saturdays starting in June through the end of July. So tell all the young ladies ages 12 and 17 to tune into this live. It's full of content and everything. We think it would, and you can more and welcome to join the live. Yeah, we're going to make this very engaging. Why am I doing this? Because it's time to take this platform to a whole nother level, to a whole nother horizon. And I want to hear from ages 12 through 17 to this. Why is this so important? Because our youth need to know that their voice, their pain, their troubles, their struggles, their issues matters. They need to know